What?
Okay. Okay. So good morning or good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to Tekedia Live. I'm Ndubuisi Ekekwe, speaking from United States. Welcome from anywhere you are around the world. So we thank you so much for joining us today. We discuss business innovation, discuss business growth, and how to drive uh, technological digital systems. Just a minute for, yeah. Okay, so Arinza, you are allowing people in? Are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so today, as typical, we will be looking at how to maybe use a different format, as we have received feedback last time, is to look at a very big, broad topic. And after that, maybe we can now move into question and answer. One thing I just want to discuss this morning quickly is the whole construct of building businesses and also finding opportunities by the flank. So we know that Guardian newspaper Nigeria has opened a film studio. A film studio means that Guardian can also produce videos, movies, and films. And one of the first ones Guardian did, that film is actually doing very well. They premiered it in premiering it in the United Kingdom. It's also going to be premiered in the United States, and they have also scheduled it in Vancouver. So what is going on here is that after the massive dislocation as a result of aggregation from digital technologies and platforms like Facebook, Google, Guardian newspaper has figured out another way that it could find opportunity in the marketplace. I'm just trying to emphasize here is that at this time of massive redesign as a result of new business models coming from technologies and digital platforms, companies have an obligation to find how they can create new a business opportunity so that they can survive. So a newspaper company, a media company, one of the finest, I would say, in our continental Africa, has figured out that you cannot just exist as a newspaper. You know, you may be surprised as we look at in week 2 of our class, where we explained the construct of diminishing returns of the internet. Somebody has maybe in 1980, maybe you had about 200 or 400 or 500 readers. And those readers were paying you a decent amount of money, maybe in your magazine. But today you have the same magazine and you now have maybe 5,000 people reading daily. But at the end of the day, you are making lesser amount of money. So the challenge here is that it's not that you are making lesser amount of money. The implication there is that you are getting into this paralysis where even though you are serving more customers, you are not finding more opportunity at the revenue side. So Guardian used to be a very, very profitable company because it was one of the finest newspaper companies in Nigeria. It was in the time when controlling the supply of news made you a very prominent or a very powerful person in the community. So if there was news to be taken to the consumers, the publishers were the gatekeepers. They determine what the people should know. They determine what should be killed. They determine what anyone could actually get access to. But in a time where we have a disintermediated internet system, no one can kill any news easily, because if people know there is something in the city of Lagos, even if the newspapers are not interested in publishing, people can go to Twitter, people can go to Facebook, can go to LinkedIn, and they just push that message out. So when they push that message out, what happens? People are already aware of what is going on. So this is a new redesign that has caused a change in the media business. And because of that change in the media business, the advertisers, the people that actually matter, will now say, if a news is breaking today in Kenya, am I going to expect people to start going to all the newspapers in Kenya, their websites, in order to get a news? Or do I expect people in Kenya to go to Google and type that topic and now expect Google to take them to the specific website where that news could be read on? It turns out that what is going on is that if news is breaking in Kenya, no one start going to each of the major newspapers' website. What people do, they go to Google and type, and then Google takes them to the right one. So if that happens, it means that Google is now a better important platform in how we consume, in how we learn about news, and how we actually get informed. And if that is the case, the person that really matters becomes Google, because it's Google that helps people to simplify the problem that there may be 100, there may be 20, there may be 30 sources of the same news. So Google has the responsibility of taking you to the right one for you to consume that. And if that is the case, the advertisers now move to advertise in Google instead of going to the newspapers. And because of that, the newspapers' margins have gone down. They don't receive enough advertising money because everyone thinks that they are no more the dominant gatekeepers they used to be. So why I'm bringing this up is for us to see resilience, is for us to see adaptation in business systems, is for us to see the necessity of an evolutionary process in anything that we do as entrepreneurs or as project champions. Remember, we expect every member of our community here to be a project champion. It means you're working in a company as an innovator, or you are you're an entrepreneur. You are involved in building something new. But at the end of the day, everyone is figuring out how he or she can actually bring new basis of competition, coming up with new ideas in a specific market domain so that you can create competitiveness in the market. So it means that if your business model is having an issue, your responsibility is to find how you can adapt. That a newspaper company like Guardian Newspaper Nigeria has become a theme studio is something that should tell every one of us that nothing is actually a constant. So if they do well in that GN Studios production, the implication of that is that they could actually compete with their reputation of history, with their reputation of so much knowledge base, become a very dominant one that can make very, very good movie production systems in continental Africa. Then another news also I want to pursue within that construct of figuring out how to deepen your business model, how to expand your business model is what Jumia, the e-commerce company, is doing at the moment. You know, I think Jumia just partnered with a company that makes games. They make they basically build all these video games, and by going into the video game business, what Jumia is expecting you to do is when you come into our platform, um, uh, if you don't have a lot of money to go and spend, but you can play games on Jumia Pay. So that is a business model where a fintech is saying that my platform is also a place where people can come and play games. And
So
there's a reason for it. The reason
you
being that
can pick the book of the Psalm. You will see prayer points there. Start.
it's like, let me just read this says. The most important thing
I've
there
done that,
is,
sir.
so the most important thing there is capturing that the users and keeping the users to stay within your platform in a digital business is a very critical thing, because the most important part of your business and the most successful elements for you in that business is that you have users. So if you cannot find users, most times, no matter how the supply of your product is, you are going to be in trouble. It's not a question of that I have created the best website. It's not a question that I have created the best product. It's actually a question of how many people have even noticed that you have a good product. So, but then when those users come, what are the efforts you're actually putting in place to bring a kind of captivity, if using that word with all due respect, for them to stay? So you make them to come and you keep them staying, so that from there you can find a way to monetize from them. So Jumia Pay now offers gaming. And that means that Jumia has realized one thing. I need to find a way to keep people here, because the more they are here, the more possibly that they will use us to do other things they have to do. And I said it clearly that one of the biggest features in Facebook is nothing that, but there are many people on Facebook, irrespective of what technology or what color or whatever Facebook is doing. Provided there are many people on Facebook, Facebook has already won across many domains. And if you go to Instagram, the best feature in Instagram is that there are many people there. It is irrelevant whether you have built a better product or a better technology or better system better than Instagram or better than Facebook. The world is always interested in what they call the network effects. There are so many people within that community. And if there are so many people within that community, it means that a feature, a value within that community is actually very huge. So across market ordinance, across industrial sectors, across territories, we are seeing the implication where entrepreneurs and project champions are looking for how they can diversify, how they can bring new ideas into whatever they are doing in order to create that opportunity for them to find ways to adapt. So it's not just a question that this is what I do under the whole construct of core competency. You know, there used to be a time when it was a great postulation in business that you have to focus on one thing. You have to do it really, really very well. On that, people are trying to interpret Adam Smith. I have to go into that division of labor, even within functional area. And then when you now set up a company, you have to vigorously focus on what you're doing. But I have said that, yes, you need to focus, you need to have vision, you have to have focus and clarity. But in our time and in our generation, once you have invested at fixed cost is that first primary cost that you have used to build that foundational technology. There is this propensity that other cost elements you need upon that fixed cost, those costs are largely small. And if they are very, very small, it means that you can do many things. So Facebook has built the original fixed cost, spend the original fixed cost. So you can wake up one morning and say, I want to do Facebook shopping. The cost of doing Facebook shopping really insignificant. He wakes up, he says, I want to have Facebook pages. The add of making Facebook pages from the original Facebook was really nothing. Companies could now set up. I want to do Facebook portal. So every day you keep, because the original framework of Facebook, where it built that, spend that big money, has been done. And that is what we see around the business system. Facebook also does servers. It configures its own server today. Apple does its own thing. Amazon does its own server configuration. They don't even require all these Intel to go and supply them new servers. Sometimes they buy off the shelf servers and configure them. Why? Because once you have invested in that core, that core technology, you can now use it to now replicate into other areas. So this is key, because if you believe in that construct, you now see why banks like GT Bank Nigeria wants to become something like a holding company, to have a fintech unit, to be a bank, to be an e-commerce business. And he also wants to go into production of music and other things. He basically thinks that he could do anything. And if you look at some of the leading banks in US today, they have a Silicon Valley office. And that Silicon Valley office, they are building new technologies. Interestingly, most times when they build these new technologies and products, they don't use the name of what people knew them to be, but they are actually trying to play a very significant role. I'm just trying to finish in the next 4 minutes as based on this construct to see. So the summary for today is businesses are changing. The dimension of competition has become amorphous. You cannot predict who is competing with you, because the guy you think who is competing you may not necessarily be the guy who is competing with you. It turns out that Fortnite, the video game guy, they may be competing with one of the best sports teams in the world. Or because the day they are launching their new premiere, many young people may not even have time to go and watch football or watch any kind of sports because Fortnite is launching. But if you are a sports network, you may think that your competitor is another sports network, without knowing that if young people are not interested because a new game is coming in town, they will not pay attention to you. And if you have a PlayStation, then you will just have to know that Fortnite is a very, very formidable one. And as you're also looking at Fortnite, there are other things that can keep people busy. And as these things are happening, Facebook sees some of those things as competitors, even though they are not social media platforms, because they are engaging the time of people. I must confess to you, with LinkedIn, with Instagram, with Twitter and Facebook, most of us struggle most times to read print newspapers, to read print magazines, because practically by the time you open that newspaper, everything that you think you can get in that newspaper is already stale, because you have received the latest update, either somewhere on LinkedIn, either somewhere on Twitter. And that creates a competition. Why do I have to spend money to go and buy something that was printed about 12 hours ago when I can actually get the real-time information? So it calls for resilience. It calls for new business architecture. It calls for us to open our minds in business systems. It calls to have the capacity to know that there is nothing like purity of business process or business vision. You just have to have this kind of antenna that is constantly looking for where the alpha is going, where the opportunity is going. Guardian becomes a film studio in Nigeria, making good films. And I'll tell you very soon, it may even have its own cinema contracts with some leading institutions in the world. Guardian Nigeria may even make more money than selling a newspaper not many people are buying anymore. And now Jumia, for example, has the Jumia Pay. Still says when you come to Jumia Pay, you play games because we want to keep you here. That is a new playbook. And that means that for us in all we do, we have to be adapt, we have to evolve, we have to think how we can also do that playbook. So that's just the opening statements, like what we're trying to try after feedback last week. Members said maybe during the general one where I moderate here, if you can have something like an opening statement focusing on a specific topic or a specific area, a case study, then we can now open up question and answer. So ladies and gentlemen, we now go into the question and answer. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you. So if you have a question, please raise your hand and then we can take it up as usual and let's get started. And that question doesn't have to be fully on what I have just stated here. It could be in any domain of our process. So Fagade, Gabriel, please go ahead, unmute yourself and speak.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Thanks very much, Prof, for tipping us off on that note this morning. So, and that's quite instructive on you picking on the Guardian newspaper, opening video institute in Nigeria, just to, as possibly another, playbook into their business, and as I thought through that, flipped to my mind about, the Washington Post that Jeff Bezos bought in 2014, just almost facing a similar situation of maybe Guardian newspapers and newspapers in Nigeria. And now he, today has transformed Washington Post, to a much more profitable, venture. So what has he done? He transformed it in a content distribution strategy, in more or less like making it to be much more nimble and technological oriented instead of maybe the paper-based that it was, and that has, using the power of internet, that has transformed the Washington Post. So then I begin to think about, maybe the approach, maybe, of the Guardian newspaper. Right now, possibly maybe, I don't know whether there's a database in terms of maybe the users and stuff like that, or how they can leverage the power, maybe of the strategy that, Jeff deploy. So, I'm putting this out there, maybe for insight, maybe from you, and maybe other players, on the call, to possibly see maybe as an entrepreneur, what type of fundamentals, or possibly maybe foundation should someone lay if you want to deploy, a similar strategy, maybe for your business. So that's, what's on top of my mind this morning. Thanks, Prof.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, there are just so many elements. I like the fact that you say similar, not necessarily going to film, because going into film requires a lot of knowledge, know-how. It requires a lot of capabilities in so many domains. But one thing that we know about Guardian is that they have a very big library. And the fact they have made a very big library, that gives them a very solid competitive advantage that they may not even need to go and hire so many experts to write scripts for them because some of their staff members are already doing that. So instead of you looking for what to do, you can say, okay, you develop a short script for us to do that. And if they do that very well, they will find an opportunity. They already have photographers that go around to cover. They will say, covering this news, we're not really making much doing that. So why not we just go and do that? So orthogonally, for most of us in different fields or different domains, it's now figuring out what is it that you can do with your staff members? What is it that you can do to rechannel the resources, or I'll call it the asset that you have. And if you do it very well, you get a lot of value. The one you mentioned on Washington Post is really amazing, because when this guy bought Washington Post, I mean, Washington Post was fixated on this holy grail of news. I just have to produce high quality news. I have to produce high quality from the angle of the editor. They were not tracking what people wanted to read. They were not tracking what people were interested in clicking. So they were just producing high quality news. A journalist likes high quality news because that's what a journalist. But interestingly, what you call high quality news is not really what people may be interested in. So there was no analytics in Washington Post. But when Bezos came, Bezos said, hey, this is now a technology company, no more newspaper. I need to have you to use analytics to drive what you write on. So they now invested in tracking what people were reading, what subject they have to cover. And then many news editors didn't like it because they would like to go into their sabbatical of 3 years of research, only to come and produce it. And they say, hey, that is it. But Bezos said, no. I recalled one afternoon when one of the journalists called me that they wanted to write about e-commerce in Africa. I just asked her, I've spoken with one from New York Times. I spoke with BuzzFeed. Why are you guys always writing e-commerce? Well, there are so many other things you can write about Africa. Every time it's Jumia, every time it's e-commerce. You know what the lady told me? Interestingly, that's really what Americans are interested in reading. That's what Americans are interested in reading when they are looking at Africa. That if they're the things I'm suggesting that they write in their business, they are not necessarily interested in those. So we just have to write what people are interested in that particular space. And that's it. If you're going to go there and write about what pharmaceutical companies are doing in Nigeria, a lot of people are not interested in it. If you want to write about what healthcare companies are doing in Nigeria, not. But if you now write e-commerce, compare it with what Amazon is doing, hey, many of them now start asking, is this going to be the next Alibaba? Is it going to be the next Amazon? So people now will pay to go and understand what is happening in the e-commerce space in Africa, because it could be a very huge opportunity for people to make tons of money. So that means the man channeled it to become a business that was responsive for what people were actually interested in. And it is something. If you go to LinkedIn today, you say you want to have a lot of members. One of the easiest things you have to do is you start posting about job opportunities, helping people get jobs, telling people about where the jobs are. Many people will follow you because they would like to see where the jobs are and get it. And you are now describing jobs, advising people how to get jobs. That becomes, you can attract so many people doing that, because it has been proven that that is actually one of the ways of getting many people to follow you. But it depends when you do that, that becomes your brand. That's because what people know you, and that's it. So that's a very good point there. So I think we have Mass iPhone. You had a question there? You raised your hand before.
Yes. Thank you, Prof. Good day, everyone. My question, you've actually answered it, because, for instance, if I'm doing newspaper business in Nigeria, taking this day for instance, how do I scale up? How do I overcome the challenges of time? You've just answered how we can be able to do that. Yes, investing in tracking what people want can be one of it. Knowing what people want. Recently, TVC branded themselves as the people where you can get breaking news, anything breaking news, their website. You can take them as a platform where you can get it on the go. So I believe newspapers as well can also do the same, so that they can position themselves that, yes, they don't have to post it on Twitter first for people to see it. People comes to their platform to see all these breaking news. So So as even though when people are posting it in Facebook, people are also getting it from them. With that, I think they can position themselves as a new platform where people can come and also go into content, video content delivery. Who knows? Just like what Guardian newspaper is doing, they begin to produce short content, and like as you mentioned, the e-commerce content, and they find out what other countries, continents want from Nigeria. They begin to produce those content, and they can become a platform, a content platform, and sell those contents. From what you said, that's where I begin to get these ideas. But before now, I was trying to ask you if you are an owner of a newspaper company, what do you do different? But thank you very much for enlightening us on this today's topic. Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you so much. So largely the fact is that I think we spend very good amount of time, either week 3, looking at aggregation business model, how these technology companies are aggregating content, making tons of money out of the raw material of these newspaper companies. So the question for them now is that how do they reposition themselves to find another way to survive? And newspaper is not a very, very profitable business today, because the problem with newspaper business is not that the journalism has degraded. No, the problem is that when newspaper became a digital technology business, the construct of what we call a category king, that in any sector or in any domain, in any territory, only the best becomes better. And if the best becomes better, or the better becomes the best and keeps getting better, other ones struggle and they just fizzle out. So newspaper used to be a media thing, but with the internet, what typically happens in technology companies, that thing has come to the newspaper business. So you go into Facebook, you're going to have only social media in the type of Facebook. You go into the Instagram world, you're going to have only the type of Instagram. You go into the WhatsApp, even if you clone WhatsApp today, not many people pay attention because they've already gotten that. So you need to come up with something unique, different from what the other guy has, if you're actually looking for opportunity to create your own. So you're not going to have exactly another Google, because we already have Google. You're not going to have exactly another, just give an example here, Pinterest and so. The same thing happens in the news business. If you come into a place like Lagos, fortunately, Nigeria doesn't have media markets. We only have largely one media market, with just one country. But if you come to places like US, they have the New York media market. They have the San Francisco area media market. They have the Boston area media market. In other words, you could be the best newspaper in San Francisco, but when you come to Boston, you are not. So, but there is going to be a newspaper in Boston that will be the best. And what is happening here is what they call network effects. If I'm on Facebook and Facebook is good, my friend would like to come to Facebook. And because my friend is from Facebook, I'm on Facebook, and then another friend of ours comes. And because of the fact that we keep getting more value because everyone is there, everybody starts coming in, and everybody's coming because at the end of the day, any other person that offers something that looks like Facebook, I say, we are already on Facebook. Why are we going to Google Plus? That was the reason why Google Plus failed. It wasn't anything that has to do with technology. Google can build any technology as good as Facebook. But the problem was you already have all your friends on Facebook. Why do you have to bother going to Google Plus? The same thing happens when you go into Airbnb. If you know that there are so many customers that can come to rent your house as a landlord, and you have this incentive to go and open up Airbnb account as a landlord to lease your property. Airbnb is a company that makes it possible that if you have a spare space in your house, you can actually rent it out to somebody for 2-3 days or 4, or just a very short time. Now, if the person knows that many landlords have homes and properties, the person also wants to use Airbnb to find a very cheap, affordable where to stay over a very short time. So that creates a virtuous loop where because there are many more people will have interested. And that's what is happening in news. You are going to have a very major news for that particular location. And it continues to attract others, and it keeps getting better. That when others come, they find it very difficult. So the question now becomes, if you cannot attack them frontally, are there other ways you can actually use to create a differentiation? And that is what I think entities like Google, Nigerian Guardian is trying to do here. They say, but as you mentioned BBC, BBC is a very different case, because BBC, I don't necessarily call BBC a pure play media organization, because I know that BBC gets some funding from the United Kingdom's government as one of the mission of informing and educating the British citizens and the British people as well as the world. So for the fact that there is some kind of grant that comes from the government, they don't just make decisions based on pure market forces. I mean, they wrote to me last 2 weeks that I should appear on their program on the Igbo one. Interestingly, I've not even responded to them. Yeah, I've not responded to them. They want me to come to the BBC Igbo one. And I've not responded because I'm a little bit tight on time to start start talking on media this thing. But how do they make money doing that? If you look at it, there is really no business there. It's not that they run a lot of advertisements on these programs, but they just use it to inform people. So what BBC does is certainly different from what CNN does, different from what Fox Network does, different from what AIT or China's, because those ones, to the large extent, are for profit, and they have to actually make decisions based on what brings money into their pocket. Yeah. Okay, so we have some questions here on the chat.
Yes, I would help you.
Okay, go ahead. So let's look at. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead,
so
Arisa.
These Facebook shopping or what does it look like? How can navigate to and fro? Can you hear me, sir? Prof,
Yes,
this Facebook shopping or store, what does it look like? How can one navigate to and fro, and how can one open and run, perhaps? Then,
yeah,
someone else is asking, how can?
Okay, I want to believe that Facebook shopping is available in Nigeria or in Africa, right? Can somebody answer? I just want to be sure. Is it available? Because it's so common here.
Available. It's
yes.
Available.
Okay. So what happens in Facebook shopping is like a marketplace. It's like a kind of a place where people list what they are selling, and then people that are interested go there and negotiate and buy. That's what Facebook shopping is. Anyone, I think, can actually open and list something. And what you list, they always encourage you to go to make it local, because they're also looking at the problem of logistics. So it doesn't make sense if you are selling, let's say, Women Week, which is very, very popular, and in Facebook shopping actually, and then you cannot find a way to deliver it. So in US, they have Facebook local. Facebook local means they use zip code. If you go there, what you see, if you're living in Lagos, will be different from what somebody living in Abuja, provided the person has set his zip code. Zip code is a code they use to differentiate the part of the country where you're living. Let's say Ikoyi could be 001, then Opopo could be 112. So if you are setting up your Facebook, you see zip code, you always see that when you're filling a form in most websites. So if you put that 001, Facebook knows that you're living in Ikoyi, and what it shows you will be different from in that Facebook local. Now, the shopping means you can post, hey guys, I just have this book. I finished this. I just finished my degree. I want to sell these fairly used books. And you ask somebody if you are buying it, I bought it this, and it's still the current edition. The person says, okay, I'll drive to a Walmart shop by 7 p.m. today, coming back. Can you come to Walmart and I'll pay you cash and I'll collect the books. This kind of transaction happens roughly every day. Or I can put it in the post office, but you have to include the cost of shipping for me. Or I can come to your house and just stop at your power. Please drop it there, I'll drop the money. So that's what Facebook shopping is. And it has been established that Facebook shopping is actually a very dominant factor in how the e-commerce space in Africa is actually shaping. In short, there was a research about 3 years ago where they say that Facebook shopping is the #1 competitor to Jumia in Africa. And I mean, it wasn't called Facebook shopping that time. It was more of where people were turning their Facebook pages to now make it a marketplace. And then you now have the Instagram, which is now a full shopping platform where people can even give people. So it is a place to list things. It's a marketplace to make it possible. So one of the things Facebook has hoped with the Libra program is that Facebook shopping will have payment integration. So that when you list on Facebook, somebody can also pay you immediately. And that will make it possible for people to now buy a digital product as quickly as possible. So if you're interested in Facebook shopping accounts, I think our team here, somebody can just guide you, can connect with Arinze or any of they will get you into Facebook, tell you how this. Okay, so I have a question here. Okay, good morning, Prof. My own general question is, I don't want this course to end. Okay, we have a question. I don't want this course to end. So it's a privately one. So what happens here is this. Next year, if you have gone to tekedia.com/programs, we are having a different products there. We call it annual package. Sorry, I think it's programs, not. I think it's programs. Tekedia.com/programs. So it's an annual package where if you sign up for that, you can attend the 3 editions that we typically do in a year. So that means that everything within that year, you have an opportunity to attend it. So with that, you can participate in all our live editions. So the cost of attending the 3 editions will now become the cost of attending separately 2 editions. So that's why I think it's $280 instead of what it would have cost for 3. So that's one way of making sure that the program doesn't end. And by the time we finish this edition, we're actually going to launch the learning management solution, which is a dedicated part of Tekedia where you don't have to see advertisement. It's cool. Actually, the site is largely the subdomain is already up, and then when you go in there, you see a library, and all the Tekedia lives that we have attended, all this recording we have done, you see a library where you can now say, I want to see what this faculty said in there. You can just make it. So it's a more structured learning management solution. And then we also have something that looks like Facebook page, which will make it easy for us to now not necessarily going to Facebook or going to WhatsApp. It'll be easy for people to ask questions. So one way of not making it end is just sign up for that. And we are hoping that many of our members have already signed up for that yearly package. And many have also, so that's one way of doing that. Okay, so the next question I have here is, so Stephen, the main conversation we're having today is we're looking at business, finding another way of bringing in revenue when your primary business has gone through a small dislocation. So we just gave 2 cases where Guardian Nigeria has opened a film studio because the real newspaper business was not doing well. And what can we learn from it? We also saw how Jumia, in the process of making sure that people stay in this platform, has put a gaming in his fintech, which is the Jumia Pay. So when you go to Jumia Pay, even if you don't have money to spend, you could have some games to play. And he's doing that in a very, very big way. So it's just a lesson to say, how do we build resilience in our business? How do we adapt instead of not having the capacity to meet your staff needs, your fiduciary responsibility? How can you think? So that's what really topic of today is about: elasticity in our capacity to invent new business models and processes for us to accommodate the changes that are happening in the market and now find a business model that we can use to find opportunity in the space. So the next question here: how can an education business in Nigeria transform itself within the context to our discussion today? Can we begin to deploy our lesson notes online? And how can we do it at profit? Can it compete? Technically, like now, we have a school in Ghana, and we have a school in Ghana that we are working with. It's actually a very, very, very big school. And interestingly, Ghana, for Tekedia Mini MBA program, Tekedia Mini MBA for corporates, we are getting more businesses in Ghanaian companies than even in Nigerian companies. We see that Ghanaian companies train their workers more from our own angle. In short, the conversion rate is nearly a factor of 3. Their schools call us, write us, and their school and their companies also write us. In short, we have this model that we have opportunity of working with 100,000 people by next year, particularly Mini. We think that we can actually get that number alone from Ghana, looking at what is happening from the way the schools are coming up on board. And so what I'm saying here is that in so many things, Ghana is ahead compared to a place like Nigeria in the digitization process. They have their schools where most of Nigerians graduates go to study in Ghana. And Ghana has actually built a fairly decent relative competitive capability within the African market, that this is a place where you can get a predictable value in the school. Your schools are not going to close up and other things. And this online learning is something most of them are trying to build capacity. So in the educational space in Nigeria, how can you transform yourself? The problem is the school can transform itself, but can the lecturers themselves be ready for that? That's really the number one question. So we've seen a case where the school wants to go digital, but the lecturers themselves are not in that position to go digital, and they don't have the capacity to go digital. And if you now want them to support them, it creates another level of cost model. Yeah, so you see somebody who has this class notes on a handout and for 10 years, and you now want him or her to put it in a PowerPoint. That's something you have to find a way to work with that faculty. Now, when they are in union, you can't really sack them. You can't really push them hard. Otherwise, they go on strike, say that you're trying to push them too much. So, but if you're an entrepreneur in the educational space, transforming yourself is figuring out how you can deploy fairly good, decent value to people. And remember that in this business, like I've stated very clear, any quality without context of cost doesn't make sense. That's the minimum viable quality. It doesn't mean that we cannot send augmented reality to every member of the Tekedia Mini MBA, so that when you are coming for this virtual one, you now see a massive level of immersion in the program. The problem is that sending you an augmented virtual reality set may cost maybe $500. Meaning you have to pay extra $500 because you want to get a better immersive view. So what I'm saying here is that there is an opportunity in the education space to transform itself. But the biggest challenge is not what the school does. It's actually how the school can connect the students and then connect with the faculty so that they can also get a little bit of experience. Yeah. Will the faculty be open to come online and teach? So the faculty will be open to engage with the students. If you can find and answer these questions, I think you shouldn't have any problem of that conversion. So can we begin to deploy our lessons notes online? Yeah, that's a school. But you remember that most professors will feel that their lecture note is a classified secret, that they can't give it to you in a PowerPoint. They can only write it on a board and you copy it. These are nuances that you have to overcome. I mean, I'm speaking to here that this is something we go through. A professor has a class notes where he can basically make a photocopy and give to them. He will not. He will prefer to write it down, or they create a handout from it. So if you're creating a handout, why will he give you that on video where you can watch it? So overcoming this and finding a better way of compensating them, if you can do it well, there is an opportunity. Because what we are doing in Tekedia, I think, is a validation that many people are actually open to learn through that model. And we think clearly that that is actually the future. The #1 technology company, education technology company in the world today that is not publicly traded is Baidu, BYJUX. Let me put it here so that Baidu is an Indian. Oh, sorry, let me make it for everyone. Baidu, I just put it on there. I think I'm pronouncing it right. Is it Baidu? What will you call that gentleman, ladies? Is it Baidu or? Baidu? Yeah, you know, it's all these names somehow. Yeah, Baidu is what I think is estimated to be. They just raised about $500 million, and it has a market capitalization of about $10 billion. It's an Indian company that does training of young people, I think between the age of either 3 or 18 or something like that. So it's worth 10.8 billion. They're just sending you the link here from TechCrunch. That is Baiju's 10.8. So if somebody has built a business 100% online in India, that is valued at 10.8 billion. It means you can buy all the whole banks in Nigeria and have free change, because all the whole banks in Nigeria is not even up to 6 billion when you combine them. I'm talking about their market cap. It's not up to 10 billion. So this company can buy it, and it just, you know what it does? It's EdTech. It has digitized for primary and secondary schools education online. So there is a huge, massive opportunity in that space. Yeah, if you look at it. Yeah. And so the next question here, okay, somebody says he's interested in the Facebook shopping account. Okay, of course, we are not here to promote Facebook, but please, what will happen if anyone can help? Anyone can help produce something on Facebook. On Monday, when we're setting up something on the board, we'll just put that link for somebody to learn how to do that. Maybe Arinze, if you can have time, or just check how to set up a Facebook account from a typical Facebook. So we'll put it on the Monday board lecture so that when a member goes there, he or she can see that. We just put it by the side. I think that would do. Let me see. I think that would do that. Solomon, okay. Yeah, but Solomon has is available more or less like listing platform. Yes, that's what it is actually. Coming strong. I would like to get you. Okay, somebody's asking a question on mortgage finance transformation and using digital technology. Yes, I actually believe that. So the question here always coming, Prof, I would like to get your perspective about housing and mortgage finance transformation in Nigeria using digital technology. So it's coming from Uchenna. I will say clearly that this is one area everyone knows is a very huge latent opportunity. When I say latent opportunity, in the sense that the opportunity is there, but no one has actually gone to unlock it. We know that in the mortgage space, there is a huge level of information asymmetry. Information asymmetry is a construct that what the landlord knows and what the person that wants to rent from the landlord knows, they don't know a lot in commonality. So I have some information, you don't have it, and you have some, I don't have it. And because of that, coming into the business level equilibrium points becomes very difficult because of other information asymmetry. But if this is something that happens when you want to buy airline tickets, when we used to use brokers. The time of brokers, there was a massive level of information asymmetry. The broker has information from the airline that the cost of the ticket is, let's say, 1,000 naira. And then you yourself, you don't know, but you know how much money you can afford to pay. So you go to the broker. We are talking before the internet came, before you can go online and buy ticket. You tell him, you might want to buy a ticket. He said, okay, the cost here is 3,000 naira. Because you don't know what the cost of that ticket is, there is just no way. You said, okay, if the airline says 3,000, I pay. So the broker collects 3,000 naira from you, and he pays the airline 1,000. And as a result of that, massive level of discrepancies in the cost of that. You go to one airline A, it costs this, you go to airline B, it costs it, because everything was through an intermediary or the gatekeepers, the brokers. Then one afternoon, internet came. Internet reduced and removed to a large extent that asymmetry. So you don't need to go to a broker to know how much Airpeace is charging from Lagos to Port Harcourt, because Airpeace has listed a price online. And because Airpeace has listed a price online, the information asymmetry has gone. And because information asymmetry has gone, arriving at that equilibrium point between demand and supply, the friction has magically gone, because you know what this airline is paying. No more anyone coming in between you and that airline. So that is a very critical part of the simplification of that business system. Then go into mortgage and housing. Unfortunately, technology has not gotten us in Nigeria to that level. Somebody wants to rent a house today, you still have to pay 10% to, is it 5% to an agent? You still have to pay 5% to a lawyer. I can't remember, I don't know, it's been a long time I did that in Lagos. But that information asymmetry is still there. So the question is, how can you build a digital technology like what they did on the airline to remove that information asymmetry? You have to bring in the landlord, you have to bring in the renter, and both of them have to come into an equilibrium point where information asymmetry is eliminated so that business friction is exceedingly managed. And if you do that, possibly you can create more opportunity in that space. So, and that also comes to financing mortgage. You want to build a real estate project of 20 million naira, and you have said, okay, people can put in money. There are issues of people can crowdfund it. People can co-own a property. You know, Dubai did that many, many years ago, where the same thing, company will come into Lagos at the airport, asking people, do you want to own an apartment in Dubai? And people signed up from Lagos so that they could own an apartment in Dubai. That's what the digital technology could do. You don't even need to send young ladies or young men to go and start soliciting for this. Said, okay, I'm building an estate in Abuja, and anyone that can come online and buy a ticket of, let's say, each ticket costs 1 million. You co-own an apartment, and then when we are getting the rent, we proportionally share it. If you build a digital technology platform that is Security and Exchange Commission regulated, because you need to have the power of the government, so that it's not that when you collect the money, you disappear one afternoon. So government knows that you are regulated, meaning that anytime you want to stop that company, those people that have invested, you have to transfer that business to another company, so that that promise you have for them is agnostic of whether you are still running that business or not. So in perpetuity, everyone is still fine. If you do that, digital technology can help you simplify it. Digital technology could help you see how people can find opportunities. But the biggest problem why digital technology is working in real estate is that real estate in Nigeria is not just a pure play digital business. There is a legal element to it. And is that legal element that making it nearly impossible for us to see the level of efficiency that we have seen in fintech space, efficiency we have seen even in the aviation space. Because if there is a lawyer that comes in between the landlord and the renter, technology cannot automate that legal ordinance. And that's why people that have tried it, at the end of the day, you just realize that it's not everything that you can easily automate. It's the same thing that happens in insurance. There is a high dose of legal ordinance in insurance business that makes it very difficult for you to go and automate what insurance companies. In short, let me say this. There is only one qualification, that there is a qualification in every person that is a CEO in the insurance business in Nigeria must have. Chartered Institute of Insurance of Nigeria. Even if you bring the CEO of Geico, one of the largest insurance companies in the world, owned by Warren Buffett, and want to make him the CEO of insurance company in Nigeria, he will not be. If you bring the leading insurance companies in Europe and we want to make them the CEO, make them a CEO in Nigeria, they can't qualify. Because in Nigeria, you need to be a Chartered Institute of Nigeria's insurer member before you can be a CEO. The implication of that is that if there are only 200 of them, is out of those 200 of them that the CEOs will be formed. So there are so many things, but you don't blame them. We're not trying to criticize anyone here. That's not it. What I'm trying to say here is technology cannot solve those problems, because suddenly you can't do those things, because there are other policy regulatory things that technology cannot automate. But if you come to banking, those things are not there. You don't even need to be a banker ever to be a bank CEO. It depends on if the board submits your name and the CBN feels good about you. But insurance, it's not possible. You must have been a chartered insurer before you can be a CEO of an insurance industry. And the same thing applies in how a digital technology can come. Most times they don't want you. So I don't know if I answer your question. You can build the technology, mortgage financing, mortgage orchestration of demand and supply. That's what the logistics companies do. You have something to move. You go online, use an app, see who can move it for you. You pay him, he moves it from Lagos to Kaduna. That's what digital logistics companies do. It can be done in the mortgage space. It could be done in the renters, housing space. But the problem here is that unlike the logistics guy, there is no lawyer that is expected to close any contract. It's just a business transaction. In the housing, lawyers have inserted themselves. I mean, you don't blame them. That before that deal is closed, somebody has to pay them 5% or 10%. And if that is the case, you have to solve that problem before your digital technology can find value in that. So okay, so I just noted this tekedia.com/program. So let me also just note for member. So we get to the okay, yes, there are PropTech. That's actually what they call it. Actually, I own one. Rentals. We have a company called rentals.ng. They're actually launching it. It looks really good, and they're nearly done with it. Rentals, I think myrentals.com or so. That's what it is now. Yeah. So I think the young man has done a lot of work in that space. I mean, it's coming up. He has locations: Tekedia, Lekki, Victoria Land, Yaba. And yeah, so that's also PropTech. Right? That's just a very good, because somebody noted it. I just said, let me give a practical example. So what he's trying to do here is to digitize it, but the model he's doing is a little different. The model he's doing is a little different. What he wants to do here is he just buys, he pays for, let's say he goes into a papa, he sees a house he likes, he pays for it maybe for 5-10 years. He now makes it possible for people to rent for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. You don't have to sign a lease or something. Makes it easy that you move in and move out without a lot of friction. So we'll see how he does in that. So we have some links here, but that My Rentals is actually a local one there in Nigeria. So which one you can check what people are doing in that space. Then the typical crowdfunding also applies here. Yeah, you could crowdfund to have properties. But for you to do that, in some cases, the Security Access Commission may apply to see how you can do that. So we have a question from Emmanuel. He's asking, since the annual package fee is for 2 batches, for we in batch 3, are we still going to pay the 100 after this batch if we wish to enroll for the annual package? Always a good question there. So what we have here from 2021 January, in any service we offer, if you have attended Tekedia Mini MBA previously, we'll give you automatic 50% discount. So technically, if it's 100K for the 3 editions, and using that 50% discount, you just have to pay 50K for the 3 editions. But it has to be the same email address. It has to be the same person's name. So all you need to pay, Emmanuel, is just 50% of that amount. If you want to attend only one, you pay 50% of the one. I think one is 50K, so you pay 25K. I think that's very clear. So we give 50% discount to our current members. Yeah. Okay. So please, for those who are professional in the area of film production, could this be an avenue for them to excel, especially in Nigeria, with the likes of Ghana deploying this film production? So somebody's asking a question. For those who are professionals in the area of film production, could this be an area for them to excel, especially in Nigeria? So what he's saying here is that with what is happening now in the media space, now, is there an opportunity for people in this space, with now that Guardian is going there, for them to excel? I would say clearly that we expect that Guardian has a high level of quality, because a very highly knowledgeable organization. But making good films, I must confess to you, the difference making good film and making good money, they seem to be related, but it turns out most times that you could have the best editors in the world and the best film producers today, you still not make money. Just look at, is it Quibi, the one that the former CEO of eBay is running with one of the finest movie makers in the world. I think they're actually looking for somebody to buy them off. I think I'm pronouncing it right. Quibi, how do you pronounce it? I just type it. No, let me type it. Quibi. Sorry. How do we pronounce that? Quibi. It's called. It's a movie platform. Quick bites, big story. That's what they come in. So it's Quibi. Yeah, quick bites. So that business was started by Jeffrey Kassenbeck, and it's run by Meg Wickman. Meg Wickman was the woman that ran eBay and made eBay a household name in the world. Jeffrey remains one of the finest movie producers in the world. They actually create very good movies, but it turns out that the story is really very, very good because the business is not coming out fine. And because there is this assumption that if you make good movies, people pay and come. Interestingly, in the age of the web, TikTok is a better business model than Quibi. Let me explain to you. This is what TikTok does. TikTok has an algorithm that says, if I give 1 million people an opportunity to produce movies, videos, short bites of videos in 24 hours, there is a high level of propensity for me out of that 1 million to find very, very solid, excellent 100. And I will distribute that 100 within 24 hours to most people in our platform. My chance of success is higher. Then Quibi will say, I am going to get the best movie producers in the world. I'm just going to make 100 movies and I'll push it. Yes. Which one do you think has a better probability of success? In mathematics, in mathematics, agree with me that a guy who has any kind of human being, if professional or otherwise, making 1 million movies, and out of that 1 million movie, is shooting for a good 100 to distribute, has a higher chance than somebody who is a Zen master, who knows everything about movie now making 100. So Quibi business model is not for the 21st century, because it's assuming that somebody can sit in his house and create a movie that has millions of people interested in. That will work if you're actually going to make real movie, like the ones they use in Netflix. But if it's all these short ones of 2 minutes, 3 minutes, that you are just engaged to enjoy it, not necessarily getting value in it. By the time you finish, you forgot what you watched, but you knew that you actually enjoyed it. You know, it's like the time my son would like to, hey, just waste his time rolling it as he will shout and something like that. But when you finish it, you won't remember that that was actually what you watched. So TikTok has that brilliant model. Out of the 1 million, I'm going to get very good dozens of great movies that will keep our platform exciting for our members. Quibi, no, I know what the people want. At the end of the day, no one wants anything. So that's a strategy that makes it exceedingly very, very difficult that in this business model that technology is powering, things that used to be common in the way we used to do businesses, those things have to now change. So and that's just the point I'm trying to point out. I don't know if I answer your question, Solomon. The business model may not be really following what Guardian is doing. I don't necessarily like it as a model because it has a high risk to fail. By the time you finish the movie, young people have already moved on. I would really like to follow, to be honest with you, the TikTok model. If I can come up with the algorithm that help to recommend it, but now build it for the local African market or build it for the Nigerian market. Let me tell you one thing. You don't have to build a product for the whole world. There was an article I had shared on our platform, in our board. I wrote it in Harvard. I think that was last year, where I noted that one of the ways of dealing with ICT utilities like Google, Facebook, is not trying to become like them. It's trying to carve a niche. It's trying to differentiate your offering in a way that they cannot easily automate you. So I believe vividly that I'm very happy to have all of you here, and I'm using it as a very practical case study. One of the things we are trying not to do in Tekedia Mini MBA is to be another Coursera. We try to find a way to make sure that you can't just automate us by saying you're Coursera, because we have to find a way to differentiate that is a local relevance in whatever we're doing. And that means if you are making a movie and you think you know what the customers want, your chance of success in the 21st century could actually be very, very low. But if you provide a platform where young people that you've never heard of, young people that have never, could come into your platform and post movies, and you find a way to get the real ones that are good to come, you can actually have a highlight. So I like the TikTok model than the Quibi model. Unless if you're not going into full movie production where you have tons of money to spend. Yes, if you do that, I will not even ask you to be going to cinemas, to be doing premieres. Go to Nolly first, go to Nollywood and YouTube. There are so many of these YouTube channels in Nigeria. If they post a movie on YouTube, Nigerian channels, Nollywood channels, check 24 hours, they have 2 million views. If they have 2 million views in 24 hours, it means that they are earning nearly $250,000. They make more money than they will make from cinema. Because the cinema, how much are people going to pay? It's maybe is it 2,000 or 1,000. I don't know how much they charge. How many times would you show that? What is the capacity of a cinema in Lagos? Maybe if there are 300 people that enter it and they pay, I don't know how much they pay. I've never gone to anyone in Lagos. How many times are you going to show it? And at the end of the day, you're earning naira. These guys go there to YouTube and they earn dollars. And they have built a massive business. That is why if you go to YouTube channels on Nollywood, there are movies that are there you will never see them in any rental district because they don't even produce for the Nigerian physical market anymore. They produce for the YouTube because YouTube pays them in dollars. And because YouTube pays them in dollars, most of them have built very good studios in Banana, I think the Banana Island, that's what they call it in Lagos. I think Banana Island, right? They built it, they have built homes now, some parts of it. I think her name is Nancy, is it Nancy Grace also? The lady that, I think 3 of her daughters are also in the business of acting. In their homes now, they have a studio because their movies, they build mainly for LinkedIn, sorry, for YouTube. So that's a model that you have to consider. But you have to focus on making movies that young people like and not the ones that they don't, because they're actually the people that are driving this business. Okay, I think we just have about 5 more minutes and we'll round up. There are so many questions through text today, unlike the typical ones where people, yeah. If you have to raise your hand up, please let me know so that we can take it.
You don't even want the session to end.
Oh, not really. He has to. Okay. Yes. Okay. So, Fumi, yes, I'm saying yes. I think he's sent a private message, so no problem. Just write to admin and then work it out. Okay. I'm just answering you. So I'm just typing there. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm interested in writing business write-up. Okay. So we have had some of our members that through the Tekedia Mini MBA Capstone, the certificate program. And many have asked, they are doing some research, they're asking for letters to write to a bank, they are doing some studies. We really support that because what is happening here is that we've also seen some people that have received some small fund. In short, one company, 3 people in the other edition received, I think, 12,500 this week from a nonprofit in US. They want to research about the impact of Boko Haram in northern Nigeria in terms of the GDP. They wrote the grants, and the grantors, the people that were to write the grant wrote to us, and we confirmed that they actually were working in our program. So if you have a need for an introductory letter from the Institute on what you're working on, please let us know and just get to admin. We have, I think they are very attentive. They already have a template for a letter they can give to you, either you are going to a company to do something. And also, if you are writing, I'm writing the business write-up for recognized institutions. Can I? So if you want to write a business, it's concept notes. These are just some of the things that we have in that capstone project. So you could do it yourself, or if you want the institute to provide guidance, just let us know. And the best way of doing that is we have a methodological process where there is a link they will send to you if you have signed up for it. That's the capstone, and you follow that process to go through. We have many people that are going through that. Some are working in helping their companies on developing growth model. Some are helping in understanding the market where they work. We also have some startups. In short, they have to cancel a consulting company contract because they think that their staff can provide some insight on that. The thing is that everyone is trying how to save costs. I mean, if your staff can do that, why do you have to pay for it? So let me know. Just write to the admin, and admin can provide it. So I'm responding to you, Gabriel, and so that is how to start. And if you write it very, very well, I think for a very great level of value. Okay, I think we don't have any more questions, and I want to thank every one of folks for the opportunity of coming. As you know, that this week, I think it's on Monday or so, this thing will be due. The lab 1 will be due. I think we said it there that Monday or 14th or so. Just I'll cross-check it. So we'll be expecting you to return the lab, and once you return the lab, we will schedule. We'll schedule a one-on-one meeting with you. Admin will send you a calendly.com page. And when he sends that calendly.1 page, you select a time for us to review that lab. And then we go through that lab. It typically takes between 30 to 45 minutes. So, and we'll speak with you just to go through that. And so that's that. So try to, when you get that email, please, if you have paid for the lab, try to do that as quickly as possible so that we can get everything going. So ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you so much for joining us for another edition of Tekedia Live. We're hoping that you have a wonderful weekend ahead. So thank you so much and remain blessed. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much and remain blessed. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
All right, guys. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.